This tutorial is going to demonstrate how to cite an article in a dictionary, a Bible dictionary, but specifically a one-volume dictionary. Many times, Bible dictionaries span across multiple volumes. The best example being the Anchor Bible Dictionary. And so you need to cite those sources in certain ways. If it's a one-volume dictionary, it's similar but just slightly different. And so I just want to note that slight difference here in this tutorial to make sure that you can cite these types of sources correctly. And I have up here an example of what I often find in student work when trying to cite a dictionary that's in a single volume, and it's wrong. And so I want to show you how to do it right. So the example we're going to use here is from the Eerdmans Dictionary of the Bible, a well-known single-volume dictionary. So again, all of the articles are in one book rather than spread across 5 or 6 books, for example. And so we're going to be working with the Eerdmans Dictionary of the Bible, specifically looking at this article on Christology, which starts here on page 240 towards the bottom of the page and then runs over here onto page 241. And we got the author's name here. Again, this is small print, but you can take my word for it. It's Henry Kerrigan, specifically Henry L. Kerrigan. Okay, so that is the work that we're going to practice citing here from the Eerdmans Dictionary of the Bible. And I've already looked up the abbreviation for Eerdmans Dictionary of the Bible, so this part is correct. The author is correct here in terms of how that should look. The title is correct. So all of this information is correct through this point. Again, I've got this italicized because it's a dictionary title of an actual book. Where things fall apart is right here. And the reason, I think, is obvious, and that is that our resources that we typically use don't help us much here. We have to go outside and find some extra help. So this is the section from the Student Supplement on the SBL Handbook of Style that talks about citing Bible dictionaries and encyclopedias. And the only example it gives here is from a multi-volume commentary, the Anchor Bible Dictionary. And so you've got the volume number there right before the colon. Then if we switch over to the SBL Handbook of Style itself and look at the full section on how to cite an article in an encyclopedia or a dictionary, again, it gives several different examples from different dictionaries, even as we move on down here into lexicons and theological dictionaries. All of them, however, come from multi-volume dictionaries. There are not any examples here of single-volume dictionaries, and so that can create some confusion for students. And so students will often cite this dictionary just like they see here and put a 1 in front of the colon because there's only one volume. That's not a bad conclusion to come to, but it just happens to be wrong in this case, because what that little number 1 implies is that there are other volumes after the first volume. Right? You only need to indicate the volume number if there are multiple volumes. And so I understand why students do this, and I also, not only because that's the examples that they have here, but we're just not seeing good examples of what it would look like to cite a dictionary in a single volume dictionary. So what I want to bring to the table here is entry from a website. All right, this is from a website that's a blog on the SBL Handbook of Style. In case you didn't know that kind of thing existed, there's a blog where people write about this kind of stuff. And they have a really helpful series of articles on citing dictionaries and encyclopedias. And I've got up here on the screen one source that goes through some of the basics. And so it's a long blog post with lots of information. Here under kind of section 2 under their principles, they're going to talk about how to cite unsigned entries, that is articles that don't have an author listed. That's really helpful to know. We're not really addressing that here. And that's all the way number 2, all these 2.4, 2.5, those are all addressing different variations of unsigned articles. When we get down to section 3 under the principles, now we're talking about signed entries, those things that appear in articles that appear in dictionaries and encyclopedias that have the author's name with them. And so helpfully here they give us both an example like we've seen before from a multi-volume commentary, but also they give us an example from a single-volume commentary. That's what's lacking in the other sources that we've looked at so far. And they make a note here, right? Note the use of a comma, they say, after the abbreviation in the citation of a single-volume work. No comma is used with multi-volume works. So if you notice the difference here, in a multi-volume work, you have the abbreviation for the dictionary, a space, the volume number, colon, page number. If we have a single volume dictionary, we have the abbreviation for the dictionary, comma, space, and then page numbers. And so that's the difference. So if we were going to then take that back over here to our example, basically all we need to do to fix this is to drop the volume number, and add a comma there. And now we have correctly cited an article that appears in a single volume dictionary. Then this is fairly easy to convert then into our footnote, right? Move the author's name, we get our comma there, comma here, right? And then we would just cite kind of whatever page number we need to cite there, right? And then with a short note, right, all we need is the author's last name, right, the title, and the page number, right? And so that's how you would cite an article in a single volume dictionary, just slightly different than a multi-volume dictionary.